A and B, McCants Middle School and Robert Anderson Middle School. In the hands of our superintendent.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you all for coming this evening. We are here tonight you all wanted to call a work session to talk about our middle school projects and the future of those in the future. So we are here tonight to do that and continue our discussions from the February board meeting. At the February meeting, we discussed the timeline that we've utilized to study the concerns of Robert Anderson and the large enrollment and McCants Middle School and the aging facility of that building. At that meeting, we also discussed that the financial planning currently that we're utilizing is utilizing unspent general fund money at the end of each school year, transferring those funds into a capital projects account, and then in 2028, in hopes of pursuing a renewal of the 1-cent sales tax. And we left that meeting with, if you wanted us to do something different, then let me know, and we would move forward. If not, we would continue with that. So any unspent general fund money at the end of this year, we will transfer into that capital project account. And we are actively working with the other superintendents of Anderson County to pursue the 1-cent sales tax renewal in 2028. So we're here tonight. I do have the presentation on the screen for you all to see. This is the same presentation that we utilized at the board meeting in February, but I have it here in the event you all have questions about that presentation. I also have our wonderful superintendent leadership team here as well to answer any questions you might have in regards to the middle school project. Again, tonight is just for discussion and a work session. No action will be taken. It is just a discussion to answer additional questions you might have. So I will, if we can start that, then I will make sure this is working properly. Yes, we're good. Okay, so this is the timeline that we discussed last month, and then after that timeline, we looked at the different components and drawings of the middle schools, the potential middle school being next door to the district office.
How much could that hold?
I'm sorry?
You need
800 students,
Sorry
yes,
to
sir.
interrupt.
No, you're fine. I didn't hear you, I apologize. So, we looked at that at our February meeting. You'll notice this area, we can talk about it again, this area here. This is where we are. This is 28 bypass. This is additional parking. That top area would be 3 stories, so 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade. Then this is the front area. This is related arts piece for your math, or excuse me, your music, art, PE, that sort of thing. Cafeteria and gym, and then it would have an 800 seat auditorium. So that could be utilized as well from Westside High School, because this property through this track here does adjoin Westside High School. Transportation for buses for this site would be utilizing the current bus parking lot. So buses would park here, the kids would be dismissed here, they would enter here, come around and come back out on Standridge Road. Car dismissal would, there's just one pointer at night, let's see if it'll work. It won't work on the screen. It's at the very top, and then it comes around to the back and comes back this way. So this school would outfit 800 students, and the auditorium could be utilized by Westside High School as well.
Car dismissal will come in off of Humanitarian.
Yeah, let me come down here and see if I can utilize this mouse. Or maybe, will the mouse show up on this?
That's gonna run into the west side traffic.
All right, so here, right here, Mr. K. So
Okay.
this is 28 bypass.
Right.
And the cars would stack, not off of 28, not on 28. So the cars would stack here, and then go around here, and then they would come back this way.
So, from what I'm seeing, it looks like we own all the property between here and West Side, according to this drawing.
Other than that body
No.
shop and that
This
church.
dotted line.
Body shop, church, and storage facility, right?
Yeah.
This is the perimeter of our property.
There's one more
So
house
don't
back
know
in there, I
if we
think.
have, Wes, a larger view. There it is, yes. All of this inside of these dotted lines here, we do not own.
Okay, but we have it drawn so that it'll fit in what we own.
Correct,
Yeah.
yes, sir.
Gotcha.
Yes, sir. So you'll also see on this is the path that can naturally connect this campus to Westside High School. You'll also see this is an additional piece that we could utilize. You all purchased this land years ago. I'm not even sure which year you all purchased that. When is
About
it?
5 years ago.
5 years ago?
This question.
And so this could be additional parking. We discussed how this could be additional parking for, your referees, visiting team. The bus for the visiting team could actually come in through this way, come around, and then drop the kids off right here, and then pull back out and park, and then pick them up right there as well, so it could separate them.
Would they be out and cleared away before the west side traffic start building up on Pyramid
Would the referees, is that
area?
what?
No,
picking
the
up
middle
our
school.
middle school parents picking up their kids.
Well, hopefully the stacking, this piece right here will allow enough room for stacking so that we do not, that's what we're trying to avoid, Mr. K, is
But I
having
mean,
that.
even before they get stacked, they gotta get access, and coming up 28 is a problem. So
Coming
I'm
up
asking, would they
28.
be out of the way, stacked and all that, and out of the way before west side traffic starts to build? If not, could we come around this back way for pickup, some
That's-
other way?
We could look at that. They would get out at 3:20 and they would get out at 3:40, so what
maybe
time do
they'll-
cars
maybe
typically
Three-
stack
three
on West
o'clock.
Side?
Same
3
traffic.
3 o'clock.
You know, one of the things we ran into when we did Centerville, I was in a meeting and they said, we're landlocked. We can't put anything between here, between the school, on the back. We can't do that anymore. And I said, well, why? Don't we own all that land behind it? So instead of just stacking one little circle there, why don't we come all the way to the back of the property?
I will
And
let
circle
Wes
it.
talk about that, because I know there's a drop in elevation there, that the topography that they've looked at, so I'll let Wes talk about that.
Well, we've proved that you can level up anything.
Yeah, I got it.
Yeah.
We've proven that.
I'll let Wes speak.
Thank you, Dr. Kelly. Just to touch, if you let me slide back to that first slide. The stacking, the approximation, I think, is 2,000 feet, linear feet of stacking. And Mr. K, to answer your question, as Dr. Kelly said, there's stacking room for the drop off in the back, but there's also stacking in the front as well. So you could stack in the front. The idea is you would come in the front, drive around. If you needed it, if you're a parent of a 6th grade, 7th grade, perhaps the programming we want you to drop off in the front, but then you could also drive around the back and return out to Highway 28.
Right. See, the problem that I'm seeing develop is dealing with the west side traffic, not the stacking, because I'm not worried about them being in the traffic once they get there, but getting to where they were stacked. They're gonna already run into the west side traffic, is what I'm saying.
And we could also, that's a very real problem. Hannah has stacking problem, or maybe one as well. We could certainly look at the program, if the board, Dr. Kelly, wanted us to do it to try to reroute the stacking for Westside High School also, as part of this leveraging the new land that we've acquired.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Good.
Yeah, that's good.
You know, I visited a school in Spartanburg County this past summer, and they had one 4-lane road coming in for 2 schools, one over on the right and one over on the left. So, you know, that looks about like what it had, and it just had the left 2 lanes going to,
One school.
yeah, one school and 2 more lanes going to the other schools.
So that is the building, if you utilize the land next to you. And that's just a larger picture of how you can see what land we do own and then how it connects to Westside High School. Again, that's that, at the top, that's the back parking lot that could be added for the visiting team and additional parking there. And then this was what we discussed earlier about the possibility of the time link, 26 months plus 14 months design, and then 72 million estimate cost for that.
Can you go back to that, please?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. 62.9.
This was created prior to us purchasing the land next door, so that's why, and I say this information, That's why it says property acquisition cost, because at that time we had not solidified the land.
My. Now, my thing is, how did we jump to building this middle school beside Westside High School and doing McCants Middle School and doing the bus thing? Look like to me we jumped away from things that I had in my mind that we were going to do. The first thing was to get McCants together.
Yes,
The
ma'am.
next thing was to get the bus people together. And now we come up with building this school.
Yes, ma'am. The reason that I brought this forth was because of the evaluation letter that was given to me from after my evaluation. It specifically states, it says, further, there is a clear need to address the large size of RAMs, which is a concern in the community and amongst the board. Plans for addressing the ongoing challenges at McCants also must begin to be developed with seriousness and purpose. The board is committed to considering options you bring to us to address these two facility issues in a manner that will benefit our students. So I brought it forth because it was in my evaluation letter that you all wanted me to bring it to you all.
Right.
And so that's why it came
At the time.
correct,
Yeah.
yes.
I don't think we've jumped, Madam Chair. I think that, because of the evaluation letter, she's just making sure she's doing her due diligence and following our recommendations.
Yes, sir.
But I don't think we've skipped anything that we've conceptualized prior to my knowledge.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, well, you know, my mind, I'm, after we jumped to to doing that, and I was wondering why we're going that far when we were still working with McCants and then working with the bus thing. So, but this is just to let you know that they wanted you, some of the board members wanted you to address this.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so you addressed it?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Now, we have looked at other options for Robert Anderson
We have.
in the past.
We have. And we put one of those options in play this year, which was the sixth grade academy.
Right.
So, but we have looked at other options. We did that,
And we looked at maybe an off-campus academy,
we did.
not to get into specifics that we discussed, but, is that kinda gone, or is it still a viable option?
It's not gone. I mean, when you look at the pieces that were presented, we did 3 different things. And we tried the first one, that on-site sixth grade academy. The other 2, we definitely could talk about, and
That's
look at those further. But we did do one of those 3 options.
And
It seems to be doing good too.
that's what I was
Yeah.
about to ask. How do you think it is doing there?
I think, I see Tommy shaking his head from, go ahead, I'll let you.
This ain't gonna fly.
Oh, hey, I'm
Yeah,
not saying
I'm
that
just
it
telling you,
will.
we got one of 2 options. We'll build a wing on Glenview and do away with McCants, and we got equal on either side of town, or take Southwood back. We want 2 middle schools on this side of town. That's nothing short of that.
What's not working? I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. You said something
Well,
about
you're
working.
saying
The
that
size of the
building
school.
building a sixth grade academy on the
You
campus.
still,
of
you still
Robert
got,
to-
you still got to
The choice.
Ms. Thompson dropping her child off at, she's still dropping her child off at a 1,200 student school.
Right.
That's, I mean, I don't say that it's not working. The perception of the community is it's not working.
Right.
Is
It's too
the
large.
sixth grade academy is not working?
The community doesn't see a sixth grade academy. They still see that one school there.
That's
Oh,
what
you're
I'm
saying
saying.
Robert
We need to
Anderson.
work on
Robert
it.
Anderson, yes, Robert Anderson.
So
Maybe
here-
they could come visit the school like we did and see how it's doing and how it's run.
Troy, you
so
won't make it another
here's
4
the
years
problem. Here's the problem.
if
When
you
we
don't
had-
support this.
Yeah, when we had the parent meetings, people didn't come. The deal is, they still, in their mind, this is not working, there's too many students. Even though the numbers show, what we looked at and reevaluated shows that it's a major improvements, that things are better, that the whole overall school climate is better, even the students and teachers like it better. However, the parents, in their mind, they've been they've been conditioned by what they've been hearing in the community or in social media. They still think it's too many students over there. It's still not working. It's working, and it's getting the results that we wanted to
But
get.
you can't convince
But
them.
the perception is, it's still too many students, and the fact that we're offering choice, they feel like we don't have another option. We got one option, that's sending my child to the big school on this side of town.
But then
And
they
they've got
don't
two
wanna come.
choices over there. So that's why Tommy's saying that's not gonna work.
And
70
there-
I'm sorry.
There is another option that was presented to me to muddy the water. And I talked to Dr. Kelly about this week, is put a 8th and 9th grade academy here, 6 and 7 at Robert Anderson.
So you only got 2 grades in 1100 school?
So we're looking at, I'm sorry, Madam Chair. So we're looking at spending $70 million to change perception. That's a tough sell.
I agree.
That's a very tough,
I
that's
totally agree.
raising taxes on the entire community. And we still don't know how much the taxes are gonna go up. I mean, do we have any figures, any way to do those figures?
We did.
Yeah,
We did.
Mr. Dukes, I totally agree. However, Cindy, Mr. Thompson, Dr. Kelly, we had those parent meetings. It's really dug in their mindset that there's still too many students at this school.
And that-
Regardless of what the numbers show, regardless of what our results show, regardless of our evaluation, they're still dead set on, it's not fair. You got 2 choices over here, you got too many students over here, we're overcrowded, yada, yada, yada. That's a problem. And and I'm not saying that, yeah, we ought to just spend money, but what I am saying is people are starting to pull out.
Yeah.
And we're gonna lose students like that.
And we already have, and
Yeah.
that's getting to the root cause of, number one, why are those students leaving? And it's hard to conference or have parent meetings with folks who've already left, but you can look at where the records transfers went to. Are they doing private, they're doing hybrid, they're doing homeschool and that sort of thing. We need to find that out. The other thing is, let's remember the root cause of why we're in this situation. Because we had Lakeside over there with 400 students and some change, 420 in its last year. We opened Rams at 678. That's a great size middle school. We built middle schools for 600 to 800. And so if we didn't have Lakeside over there, we'd be fine. But then the decision was made to get rid of a middle school. So that decision was made by the board to do that and put up AIT. Beautiful building, a centerpiece of this district and especially of this road. But yet, we've still got, and then you built the two-story wing over there to accommodate those 420 students or 400 or so students at Lakeside. So you got 2 in 1, but a $70 million price tag, taxes on everybody for a decision that was made by this board. And I think that needs to be addressed. I mean, that's painted us in this corner with these parent perceptions. I had that same perception. I'd heard those conversations. I'd heard, people, that was what was thought. I went over there. I know Mr. Thompson's been there. Cindy and Troy and I went. It was a joy to be there. Now, we were there, 2 hours? You can't tell everything. We didn't get in classrooms, but what we saw, but if there's a problem in a school with behaviors and things like that, and chaos, there's symptoms. You're going to have unruly cafeterias. You're going to have unruly class changes. You're going to have unruliness at recess. And we went to those places and it didn't see it. So, my question to Mr. Noble was, what could you use? I know principals, they're not going to ask for the moon because they can't get the moon. He said, I could choose 3 hall monitors. That's a lot cheaper than $70 million. And I'm sure he could, we could put some more boots on the ground. I don't know if you saw your clippings from this past week, but there was an article. Please pull it up and read it. It's basically a study was done in the state. As enrollment goes down in the state, statewide, in lots of school districts, staff is going up in some of these districts. In other words, kids are going down, but staff's either staying the same or they're adding staff. And a lot of that goes back to COVID, because people saw when we added the staff with that COVID money, it was helping. One of the quotes in there from a principal, it's a game changer, because the assistants, the help in the classroom, the help down in the building, is making a huge difference. And that's why I'd rather us put money, it wouldn't cost us nearly $70 million to overstaff that place. Get more boots on the ground, get more eyes in the halls. And change the perception. We gotta change the perception. Put out a good product.
How many students were at Lakeside before Robert
400,
Anderson
you
was?
said.
Last
before-
year was 420.
Hold on, let me finish my
Sorry.
question. How many students were at Lakeside before Robert Anderson was built?
I'm just looking at the
All
last
of them.
year, in 2016, 2017, it had 420 students.
But like I said, that wasn't my question. My question was, how many were in it before Robert Anderson was built? 1,100?
But you still had Southwood.
Right,
But
300.
Southwood was split, am I correct, between, and on what side at that time?
It was.
It was arts.
So I mean.
Before it was art
Yeah,
school.
I didn't-
it was-
Even before it was the arts.
Well, we can look it up. Somebody can look it up. Somebody go to State
But,
Department,
you know,
pull up the
you're at
ADM.
least at 1,000 students that were there, okay? At least 1,000 students. And you remember Lakeside, I remember Lakeside. And not a whole lot changed in that school, and it had 1,100 students. I mean, would you rather go to Lakeside or Robert Anderson? It's
Robert
just-
Anderson's a much nicer school.
That's right. It's just like we tore down Lakeside and built Robert Anderson.
And then we added on to it.
And
But
look at District 2. District 2 now is voting to do the same thing. You know, the same thing. They're wanting to tear down an old middle school and build a 1,200 one that'll hold everybody.
yeah, I would contend they aren't, simply because you got Belton and Honeypath, which are two old schools. To build a new one, you got a brand new one out there that's, 7 years old, and is under capacity, and enrollment is going down. If they continue their enrollment trend at losing 35 to 40 kids a year for the next 6 years, they'll be down to 900. So it could possibly solve itself. The root cause, we gotta find, what's the root cause of the students leaving? That's more important to me, is to find out why they're leaving.
It's the community, and I understand what you're saying, Trip, completely. I'm just telling you, you're not gonna sell the community on this.
Yeah.
Because
Splitting,
the community still feels like
That- yeah.
there are two choices on the other side of town when it goes to school choice. I have one choice, and that's Robert Anderson. And they don't care about what the results say, because they're
And-
not listening to that. They're not even coming to the meetings. They're going about what they see when they drop their child off. There are too many kids.
yeah, I would completely agree. If Lakeside was still over there, built in 59, McCants built in 61, very similar style schools. If those two were, well, still have McCants, but if they were both standing together, I'd say, yeah, let's get rid of those, because we did Robert Anderson and Glenview. Two new schools, left Lakeside and McCants. Now, those schools need to be addressed. But that one's gone, and we have a beautiful building in place, so it's kind of
And it's
a
done
trade-off
It's
was
trying to
made.
consolidate expenses, because that time we had the budget we have now, and it's done to try to consolidate expenses as well.
Right.
Mr. Thompson.
Because I was at those parents' meeting, I just wanted to clarify that I didn't necessarily take it that all the people at the parent meetings were advocating for a new school. There were people there who were, and I've talked to people who believe that's not fair to that, and so, I want to be sensitive to that, but that's not in those parent meetings and my interaction with those times in Robert Anderson. There were other things I heard that could be worked on, and I think that public perception, I've brought that here many times, and it was thrown to the side. So I would point to board policy when it comes to facilities development. I think some of the reason that board policy is set up is to help future boards, which is us now, know what to do and know how to handle this. And I would also hope that we would be developing some process that we could hand to the next generation to, if it comes time for you to build a school or think about building a school, here's a process to do it. But the policy talks about being consulted, that the board can hire consultants. And I haven't seen anything like that. Maybe it's happened. It talks about doing needs assessments and being consulted on these concepts. So I just want to throw that out there. That's in the policy on facilities development.
We did have a demographic study done.
We did,
2 years ago?
2023.
2023, yeah, we did.
But would that be the same as being consulted on a needs assessment for a new school? I mean,
And
based on that, would you say, how does that play into this conversation, that
And
consultation?
Mr. Thompson, and like I said, I'm not disagreeing with anybody. I'm,
Yeah.
as I've told y'all many times, I drive kids all the time, and They were fine there. It's just, I think they've kind of said the same thing in that demographic study, that little or no growth in the whole, all of Anderson 5, even with all the building going on. And that was, I don't know when that study was, that was during COVID it was done basically, but,
Well, do you guys feel like do you feel a sense of urgency? Because I would say that we have just approved school choice district-wide. We've just, put our toes in the water on virtual middle schools. So it's kind of hard for me to see how, to plan new brick and mortar and be so sure that this is exactly what we need to do when we've opened up those new concepts. So I guess my question is, do you feel there's a sense of urgency?
the community, yes. From a board seat, I mean, I just hear the community.
Is a bond gonna be required, if we do McCants and a new, let's just call it a new Lakeside, I'm put that in air quotes, but a new middle school over here? Would a bond be required? Okay, so if a bond's required, I would hope we wouldn't even consider making the decision to move forward with a bond without talking to the community. I would toss all the meetings that you had. I mean, that's, and just put those aside, because now when you're talking about people's money, I think they'll have more motivation to
And I
come.
will tell you, at the Robert Anderson meetings that we were able to be a part of, we talked about that. We talked about, what we're currently doing, saving money, fueling it up. We talked about that. But we also talked about that if you want it faster, then you would have to do a bond referendum. And a bond referendum would increase taxes. We talked about that with the parents. And I said, now, if we were to be able to renew the 1 cent sales tax in 2028, then we could continue to save money like we're saving now. It would take us a little bit longer, but we could do it. But then I told them, I said, if we don't renew the 1 cent sales tax, and it has to be Anderson County wide, your taxes are going up anyway. If it's not renewed, your taxes are going up. And so I told them that, but I said, but if we renew the 1 cent sales tax, your taxes don't go up, and then we can continue to save. So yes, we had those conversations.
Or we could do like we did last time and have a 1 cent sales tax referendum and a bond referendum at the same time that the 1 cent sales tax is gonna pay for it. Really, all we did last time was advance ourselves
Correct.
$90 million. Okay?
And we can do that. We will have some left over from the first bond that you did, because it'll be paid off in 2033, 32?
The sales tax will be paid off 2031.
31. And so if we renew it in 28, we still have an amount of money left to pay off, so that has to come from the amount that we would be able to borrow against. And I don't know what that amount would be.
Right.
Yeah.
But, it wouldn't necessarily have to come from that. It could come from the capital expenditures that we've been accumulating.
Yes, we have 87,874,398. That is down from our February meeting, and that's because we've had to make our annual debt payment of $4.5 million. So that's why it's there.
Because of that, I am completely in favor of doing 2 schools. One on, just like it's been presented here. I mean, we've got to have something for each side of the town. And boy, that's what I have learned in 20 years on this board, and you probably in education for as long as you have, that everybody wants something, right? I mean, what's in it for me, right? So you got to do for one side of the town just like you do for the other side of the town. We could have a 1 cent sales tax. We could bond out the money, build them right now, and pay for them with the sales tax over the next 15 years. We could probably have enough money that we could pay off the bond and, building expenses. I mean.
Say that
yeah.
last part again, just so I'm clear. You have enough to pay for the bond and the, what now?
This project.
Yeah, I know what project we're talking about. I just wanted,
You'd have enough money, doing it the way that he said, to pay off this project and pay off the bond that we would float, and still be able to continue with our money coming in from the penny sales tax.
No,
If you continue to do it that way, it's like forwarding themselves.
Hurt your
We
credit.
have some bonds that are callable, so that's, we probably need to talk about our financial advisor if we wanna go down that road.
But it's
If
basically,
you do a sales tax, or as we are campaigning to renew the sales tax, the South Carolina Department of Revenue will tell us what we can bond out. So we can't come up with our own amount. They're going to do all the calculations at the state level. They did that back in 2013, and they said you can bond $60 million out, and that's all we think we'll be able to collect and pay over the 15-year period. So we can't determine the amount. The Department of Revenue will determine the amount, and that's what we can bond out if the sales
but
tax
do
passes.
you really think it's gonna be 60 million? I mean,
No,
they're gonna look at our history for the past 20
No,
years.
I think it'll be much higher than 60 million.
And it'll be plenty to do these two schools.
But what we have to remember is if we renew the sales tax in 2028, we're losing 2 years that we had on the original one. So just, I mean, it's.
So if we renew it, it doesn't start again in 30, it starts the year you
That's
renew it,
correct.
okay.
So everything that we could have collected for those 2 years that are still paying on those old bonds.
So we're really getting
we're
we're getting a 13-year,
So we've got to save money to pay the bonds that we thought were gonna be paid over a 15-year period, but it's now a 13-year period.
We've set that money aside, no? We've set that money aside, no?
We set the collection stop in February of 2030, and the last payment is not until 2031. So we've set the
Right.
payment aside that after collection stop, that last payment.
And that's separated from this 83 million she's, okay, so it's accounted for, that's
It
covered.
takes about $500,000 to pay our debt each month, 500,000 from the bonds that we advanced in the last sales tax. So everything that we get over $5,000, over $500,000, and we're getting over $1 million a month, is going into savings. Okay? So that's how we've accumulated $90 million in savings, is because we're bringing in more money.
How much would it be to pay those bonds off early for the borrowing for the last time?
Right now, we still owe about $150 million in bonds from the 2007 bond referendum and the sales tax bonds. So it's still a pretty large number.
Well,
Now, we're one of the lowest debt villages in the entire state,
yeah.
by a lot. But we do have a fair amount of debt for our district.
I would like to know what would be the cost associated with hiring a consultant that Mr. Thompson recommended. Does anybody have a ballpark figure? what
I
that
mean,
might
Well, it's in the policy,
I
I
know,
mean,
that's what
I'm not,
saying. Well, I'm not saying that you.
I'm not saying that's
Let me
a bad
let me
idea.
rephrase that.
Yeah.
Not recommended, but that he pointed out is in our policy.
Yeah.
then
We
it's
don't-
not saying we have to either. I'm just saying, I'm trying to get my head around,
I'm asking what it would
a whole
cost.
district needs assessment. It seems like we're talking about the middle school program in a vacuum, and it makes me nervous, somebody who's new here, to work on that in a vacuum where I'm not sort of seeing how's that affecting the high school or the elementary schools, or how's the, the new virtual middle school and the school choice. It seems like we've sort of honed in on these projects, and I know y'all been working on them. I know I'm not saying y'all ignored this board that the public has constituted through the elections is a new board. So I'm sort of just trying to do my due diligence and seeing what the whole district impact is to that. And it seems like we're steaming toward 2 new middle schools, and that's what I'm asking. There seems to be a sense of urgency that I'm not sure serves us well, but I'm open to
Let me-
listening to that.
Let me clarify my question, because I follow what you're saying. Let me clarify my question. The reason that I'm asking about the cost is because I think that it's a good idea to have a consultant if this consultant is also going to touch the perception, if they're also gonna meet with the parents and find out about what is the overall perception. So I think that may be a good idea if it works for us in their favor. So I'd like to know the cost associated, because I think that's a good idea.
who knows what's even out there? I mean, I don't even know who you would go to. It just, I felt like it was a sign from a previous time that, hey, this may, may be something to look at, so.
Because I think what he's bringing up is a good idea, because we've put these new innovative pieces in place, and they may, by virtue of the fact that they're in place, they may help us with the overcrowding and the perception that we have of Robert Anderson if we allow them to take form. So I think by having a consultant, that will give us a little outside eye, for lack of better words, to let us know kind of what the overall picture is.
I would agree with that.
Yeah, and I don't think anybody's gonna disagree. In the back of everyone's mind here, McCants has been on the radar for, I know, 5 or 10 years, that it's just, every time you turn around, it's $1 million here, $1 million there.
Something did come to my mind just now, if you're finished.
Yeah, go ahead.
Look, we were talking earlier about us closing Lakeside. Lakeside was also a security risk. Let's
Yeah.
keep
Oh,
that
yeah.
in mind. We had no choice. We had to move on that.
It was worse.
Because this was during the time when there was the shooting in Townville, and these things had taken place, and we had to make a move on Lakeside. Because it's open and it's right there on the highway. And people come by, they could come by and shoot, keep rolling.
Yeah, it didn't even have enclosed
Yeah,
hallways.
it's terrible. When they come out of their classroom, boom, they're outside.
I remember I
And that's
was
every
there.
classroom that was over there. There was not one inside enclosed.
And that's one reason that I think is one of two reasons that I've identified of why does a school district, why do you build schools? One would be, do you have older buildings that just don't meet modern security and safety protocols? The aesthetics, went to a great workshop down at the beach on biophilic design, basically incorporating nature, light.
Glass windows.
Bethel Hanbury down in Richland too. I did a great job, but I did some research when I got home on that, and that school was mentioned a number of times in terms of how I've done hard research on it. It increases test scores, it increases or decreases teacher turnover, morale and behavior is better. Anyway, that's a whole nother thing. But one of the two reasons to build a new school is if you have an old school that's out of date. And I think getting all the children under one roof is a lot easier to secure 5 or 6 doors as opposed to 50 or 60 doors. The other would be enrollment and having over enrollment that continues to rise with the trend going that way, and that rezoning won't fix. Okay, Lakeside doesn't meet either one of those qualifications. Okay, we're talking about public perception, and I don't think I've ever heard of a school district spending money, building new buildings because the perception. Now, if it goes to a bond, the folks will have a say. They will have a say. Now, here's a scenario that just hit me as we talked about it. So if we put forth a bond, we got enough money in penny basically to do one school, correct? So we're going to bond another one, but it's not going to show up that way on the question, I'm sure, correct? When it's at the ballot.
Well, when you create the question, you specify exactly what that bond would be for, so it would only be for one of the schools.
Okay, all right. That was a question in my mind, because if they turn the bond down, then are you gonna go forward with McCants out of fairness, but I mean, if you look at our history, I mean, Hannah, which is old Hannah, which is current McCants, was built in 61. Then we turned around and built West Side in 71, and I'm sure it was a little more modern than what Hannah was. It's 10 years newer. And then the new Hannah was built in 92. So we staggered things there. And of course we did McLeese and Midway at the same time. So, I don't want to come across the wrong way. I am for this side of town. I'm for every student in this district. I want fairness in materials, equipment, all those things that students get, whether it's uniforms, playing fields, things like that, it needs to be equal on both sides. But we're talking about building buildings and taxing the community, and people are tapped out. Since our last meeting, the world has changed, okay? We've got a lot going on over in the Middle East that could really change things. So where we're going, and with inflation and with the price of oil and all those sorts of things, I do agree with Bill. I don't think we need to rush at all. And I would like to see us come out of this meeting with some sort of tentative schedule in terms of, what does the timeline look like? When are we going to have community meetings? When are we going to make
For what?
ultimate, for building a school, for building a new school over here, for redoing McCants? I think we need to have community meetings to do that. Because if you're putting money on the line, that's a whole lot different than what the superintendent and the surveys and all that, those meetings. When you start saying, okay, taxes could go up, you may get people that don't have kids in these schools, because they now have a vested interest. So, I don't think we need to rush, and I think we need to come out with a very methodical timeline and take our time.
Don't you think that the first decision needs to be, are we gonna build one school or two schools? I mean, then you work on the timeline to get that done.
I would like to get input. Well, let's look at decisions that were made without that could be built with the penny that didn't have a lot of input. I go to the downtown building. I've talked to a lot of constituents about both the McCants side, of course that's my side, but Robert Anderson as well. And a lot of people feel that McCants, it's 60 years old. It needs an update. It needs a new building. They need a new building. The Robert Anderson side, the way people feel about that is they don't want taxes. If you can do it, if you can do one building without raising taxes or with the penny, I think that's the best. But I'd like to hear from parents before I make a decision. Mm-hmm. That would, because making decisions just because we have the money, and that's the thing about using that money. The ballot's going to tell the truth in terms of a bond referendum. That's going to tell the truth. The people will decide. But if we don't have to use that, if we don't have to use a bond and we do one school, the parents necessarily don't get to vote on that. So I think we need to involve them to make our decision.
Well, I thank you for all of your discussion of it, but I think we should go ahead with McCants of what we were doing and then put this on the back burner for me. Because if we was building McCants, that's what we need to do. And it seems like this came in, now should we build both of them at the same time? And I don't think we'll be able to do that, to build both of them at the same time. Or they needed, is this one needed out here? But we already said that we needed it at McCants, that McCants need to be built.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
If I may. I would like to propose, again, to revisit the listing of the downtown district office to,
No.
We're not doing that anymore.
excuse me, I'm still speaking.
I'm not gonna sit here and
Mr.
we
Kay,
waste
she
time.
has the floor.
I'm not gonna, okay.
Okay, listen.
Not on the agenda.
The only thing about that, this is what we were talking about on the agenda.
Right. I got-
About the McCants and Robert Anderson.
I got cut off. I didn't get to say what I was gonna, we need
Well,
to.
when you brought up downtown,
Okay.
that was enough.
That was
Because we're
enough of
not
that.
talking about
I'm
downtown.
talking about reestablishing public trust here. A lot of money has been spent willy-nilly, maybe building Robert Anderson twice the size, and then to go propose to do Glenview the same way, like two wrongs don't make a right. And the public needs to be involved before you talk about bond referendums and spending all this money. We already owe $150 million on this penny tax that's not yet paid out. So I think the people need to,
That 150 is not on the penny tax.
the people need to.
That's on the bond referendum 2007.
Well, we owe $150
Yeah,
million.
but that's not on the penny tax. Penny sales
Okay.
tax.
I think we should, I don't see the urgency either. I think we need to wait. It would be wise to wait. And we want to establish public trust, get the community involvement. We need to have community meetings and not just make all these decisions and cram it down their throats.
I didn't, I understand, it's what you're saying. I understand some of that of what you're saying, but my thing, and I'm gonna let you talk too. And, my understanding was we were doing McCants Middle School because of his age, and we had the money. Now, when this came up, it's a little mind-boggling for me. But go ahead, Mr.
Madam Chair, with all due respect, I have come to realize that nothing is going to please certain individuals when it comes to the downtown building. However, this board has made a decision on the downtown building. That is done. We're not gonna revisit it, we're not gonna rehash it, not gonna bring it up. Now, I don't have a problem with what Mr. Thompson is proposing, getting a consultant, because of what our bylaws say, our policy says. I don't have a problem with waiting, putting the mechanics first and doing it the way, as Madam Chair has brought up. I don't have a problem with any of that. And what Mr. Duke, his remarks and comments were very well taken. I'm in agreement with all of that. But as it relates to the downtown building, I'm gonna say this once and for all. It is over. Okay? The downtown building is a done deal, and it's over. So let's not waste any more time bringing it up. That's it. We have voted, it is in records, that's it.
I thought it was. I thought it was.
Madam Chair,
Go ahead.
I think we're using two words together that we really shouldn't. We're talking about a bond referendum, and we're talking about a penny sales tax. First of all, if you do a bond referendum without the penny sales tax, guess what? You're voting to raise taxes, okay? If you vote for the penny sales tax and the bond referendum together, you're not voting to raise taxes. You're voting to keep that penny that the public approved 15 years ago or 13 years ago and bond using the money from the penny sales tax to pay those bonds. So it isn't a tax increase for the general public. It would be no tax increase for the general public. It's still the same penny. We're just borrowing the money in advance and promising the bank that we're gonna pay for it with the penny sales tax money that comes in.
Why
So-
not get the public input to see if they want to pay for it with the penny tax?
You know, I'm always in favor of getting public opinion, but sometimes as a board, we gotta make a decision. I mean, how long do you put it off? How long have you been on this board? 4 years? And we've talked about building mechanics the whole time, and we still hadn't raised laid a brick. You know, we've done nothing to get it done. I'm saying sometimes this board has to make decisions. And you know, you don't wanna raise taxes. If you do bond referendums, you're gonna raise taxes. If you use 8% money, you're gonna raise taxes. If you vote against the penny sales tax, you're gonna raise taxes. If you don't wanna raise taxes and still get good schools, vote the penny sales tax in. Keep it in line. And then we'll have the money to pay off the advanced bonding that we use to build it.
Can we have the community meetings and convince the public that we need the penny sales tax for
I
schools?
think the public needs to hear what I just said, and that's why I said it. Because all of these meetings are recorded.
And again, the community meetings that we had, this information was shared. It is truly trying to get the community out. And I understand we had the parent engagement event, and we sent it to all 11,883 students. However many emails they had, we sent it at least, Kyle, how many times did we send it?
We sent a total of about 30,000 emails.
Yes.
Mailing list received multiple times, anybody who signed up received. The ones in January received half a dozen because we had them rescheduled.
Right. And I don't hold any, and I don't want this to be taken wrong. I understand. I'm a mother of 3, and I remember those days. You and your husband are trying to get to different places alongside having a parent community meeting. And I was a very invested parent. We had 13 parents show up. So it's not that the community is not interested. That's not it at all. They're busy. They're very, very busy. And so I will do as many community events, and I hope I've proven myself that I will do that through the timeline I've given. But every meeting we have, you're looking at as low as, I think the 6th grade meeting at Robert Anderson had like 8 to a high of 50 at the most. We will continue, and every meeting we had, and Mr. Thompson was there, and you were there, we talked about this, and we talked about you know, what the options were and how we could move forward. And again, I'm good with what we're doing, saving. I'm saving, but you all put it in my evaluation letter to bring it forth to you all with what do we need to do. And so my recommendation is we're saving, right? We're saving. I'm having community meetings. But if we want it to be now or faster than saving, because you're looking at the earliest, I'm just guessing. If you renew it in 2028, you're still looking 2032, 2033 before maybe you even have enough. So,
For two.
for two.
How soon for one?
Well, for one, you could do it today.
That's right.
But you have $203 million on the need assessment
That's
that was
right.
done in 2023 that we're not even looking at. So if you take all of that money, I'm sorry?
If you use all your money, then we're gonna have to go to 8% anytime anything
Yeah,
breaks.
you don't
Correct.
wanna-
That is our savings account.
Yes.
When the fencing and the other requests that come from the board, it comes from this account. If we wipe that out, the only option we have is 8%, which we don't have to ask the voters for.
But it still causes an increase.
And
But it's a
taxes
tax
will go up.
increase.
And
It's
that's,
an immediate tax increase, and it will be our only way to get funds for equipment or
And-
HVAC or something that breaks in our school. We can't just go bond money if we go spend all of our savings accounts. So that would be the only thing I would want y'all to consider. If you're taking all 87 million to build the camps and a $30 million HVAC goes out,
Yep.
we just hit the taxpayers with a 10 mil increase.
yeah.
How much is in
Until
capital
it's
improvement
paid
fund right
off.
now?
Everything Dr. Kelly told you is sales tax and capital. So that $87 million is every penny that we have.
Okay.
Capital, you have 31.7, and sales tax, you have 56.1.
Say those again, I'm sorry.
You want the actual accurate one? $31,702,143 right now in capital projects. In sales tax, you have $56,172,255. Total of $87,874,398.
And I have to,
As somebody said, sales tax goes up monthly, I think it's Mr. Bradshaw. Sales tax money, we collect it every month, so that amount will increase monthly with our sales tax. The capital money only increases at year end when we make that fund balance transfer. So that number only goes down when we approve things in the board meeting, the fences, the restrooms, those kind of things, that number's gonna continue to go down. Sales tax will continue to go up until either 2028 when it's renewed or 2030 when it stops.
and I've been very proud of the way we've been able to have, those of us been here a while, we didn't have the money to do things that broke. I mean, one time couldn't even cut the grass in the summer. I mean, the money just wasn't there. I don't want, nobody wants a tax increase. I mean, it doesn't affect taxpayers, it affects us as well. So, I mean, it affects everybody. Nobody wants to sit here and do a tax increase, but I'm not in favor of depleting what we have, because you can see how quick something can go wrong. It's $4 or $5 million drop a hat. We didn't have, I back to my original conversation with Holly Dunn sitting back here wanting SROs, and we knew we need them, but we hadn't had the money to pay for them. And we had to go with private security and everything we could to try to help that. So, be
So we
careful
don't even-
depleting what we have.
We
So,
don't even have we don't even have enough, from what I can understand, right now, we don't have enough to even build South
we
McKinney.
don't, not if we keep a $20 million or $30 million balance so that we can fix things along the way. We don't have enough. But the only way, in my mind, to do this is the penny sales tax. It doesn't cause our people's taxes to go up. None of your constituents will see a tax increase. And then, you know what else they're gonna see? They're gonna see two brand new schools, one on each side of town. And their taxes are staying one of the lowest in the state on their taxes. Yeah, everybody loves to complain about taxes. But here in Anderson 5, you're paying less than you would in most places around the state.
Mr. Thompson?
I think the superintendent's done a good job reaching out with these parent meetings, and I've been in each one, and I'm impressed. But those are parent meetings, which is different than a community meeting. And I sort of feel like the burden is on the board to do that. Dr. Kelly's gone above and beyond to do it, and I'm not sure that we ought not to be doing it. And I think you know, as far as the process here, I think there's a process pre-making some sort of vote on this, and then a process post-vote. Like, for example, and I know you've reiterated you're not talking about a bond referendum, but for the sake of argument, it would seem to me you would seek community input before you made a decision, and then once you'd made that decision to hone that in, you would seek community input again. And I think, you know, like I said, I think there's a process certainly that we need, but that I think would be beneficial to hand to future generations on how this is done. And I think that's sort of where I am with this. And I would say, too, to the point about the bond running a bond in parallel, so to speak, with the sales tax, that bond would be limited, right? You wouldn't be able to bond $150 million in parallel.
That's the one that will be limited to whatever the
State.
Department of Revenue.
Right.
That's what we did on the 2013 sales tax. There was
Right.
two questions: do you approve the sales tax, and do you approve for us to bond out? So it would be just like 2013. One could pass and one could fail.
Yeah.
And that's where it would be on the board, and everybody to make sure that everybody understood that those two went in conjunction with each other.
Right.
The bonding just allows us to go get the money and not have to wait on it to spool up, but again, it would all be paid with the sales tax money. But kind of vice versa, if the sales tax didn't pass, then the bonds wouldn't matter if we didn't get the sales tax.
Last question, I'll be done, Ms. Leverett. Look, for example, if we were to do McCants, like Ms. Leverett's talking about, it would seem to me that in a period of high inflation that drawing your cash down's a pretty reasonable idea. I mean, sitting on large piles of cash in a period of high inflation doesn't sound real smart to me. And as far as depleting what we have, how much money do we need to have in reserve in these funds to make y'all comfortable? Because it doesn't sound to me, based on some of these quotes, that we would be depleting everything.
Well,
Certainly a lot, but what would make you comfortable to be
Let me
sitting
reverse
on
the question. What would make you comfortable?
in the capital projects?
Yeah.
In the capital projects fund? I'd have to consider that.
As we would.
Okay, well, I mean, you said that it makes you uncomfortable to deplete to take, what do we estimate a new McCants would cost?
I've thought
What-
about this. Can I answer it? I'm
Sure.
not a board member, but I've thought about this. So if you wanted to utilize this funding to build one school, and let's just say it's 75 million, right? 75 million. So that leaves you 12 million. If you have something that costs $30 million, your 8% is 36 million right now. I think that's what you said. I would feel comfortable if y'all wanted to go forward this, that you would have at least what your 8% money was worth sitting there.
So 36 million,
That's me,
yeah.
because then, worst case scenario, you got 36 million there, and if you have to get another 36 million, do you see what I'm saying? If something major catastrophe happens. But that would be my comfort level. But now, that might not be your
No.
comfort level, because
That's
that's
a reasonable
That's a reasonable-
amount with a reasonable thought behind it.
whatever matches your 8% money.
Yeah.
So, basically, if we got 87 million now and we spend 75 on a school, leaves us 12, and we need, you said what, 36?
36
That-
million is
that's
what
the
8%
math's
is
easy.
worth right now.
It'd take you 3 years in penny sales tax to save that up. Which would be, it occurred to me, good financial stewardship, teaching, say, children good financial stewardship is, if they want something, they learn to save, and when they hit their goal, then they go get it. I mean, we could look at it that way, because we kick McCants down the road. I mean, it works. It's not pretty. It's not, it's functioning, and that's about it, at a minimum, when it comes to a building. I remember walking in the classroom and seeing tarps in a classroom to funnel water into a trash can. And those days, I hope, are gone, right? So as long as it's gone, but that's how bad it was. But we've worked on it. I will remind everybody of two numbers that go back to the last vote we had in the county in regard to the road tax. It was 80-20, and I think the reason that was so soundly defeated is because of public trust. which goes back to what Cindy, that's why she brought the building up. When you just go make a decision and you don't involve people, that could come back to haunt us. So I am 100%, 110% in favor of renewing that tax. I think that is mission critical for us. It has been a godsend for many, many years. I actually talked to the county folks. I've sat in on 2 presentations when they did the road tax, and I said that out loud. I said, I can speak, and I can really help their cause in a meeting. I said, I can tell you what it's done for Anderson 5. But I'm not sure, it was just, I think it was a public trust piece. So we've got to make sure that when we move forward with whatever we do, that we involve the community. And instead of trying to attract them, let's find out where they are. What meetings are they having? I mean, we've got Rotaries, we've got Lions Club, we've got churches, we've got various organizations that meet. Let's find them and let's go to them. But I think if when you're involving their money, they'll listen. They're going to listen a lot more when you're talking about their pocketbook. Even if it balances out penny versus bond, and if we could balance it out and not raise taxes that much, they're still going to listen.
Well said.
I agree.
Madam Chair, the churches are a captive audience, but that would just involve us going to the churches on Sunday and 2 or 3 of us getting up and sharing. If that's what, I think, is that what you're proposing?
I'm not specifically, I'm
I
just
know you're
saying,
not specifically
just,
saying
let's
churches,
just find,
but,
let's just
yeah.
find places where they are.
Right.
Because, everybody's busy, and they can't work us in,
Right.
when we hit them with, hey, come to this, come to that. And Mr. Noble said he went out on the basketball court at halftime and said, hey, there's a meeting down in the other end of the building, and still couldn't get people to get up and go down there. So, they were there, but you had a captive audience, you couldn't hold the meeting there, but that's just another philosophy.
Yeah, we had one couple come in after
Yeah,
we did that.
yeah, so.
Madam Chair, I remember when we were presenting the 1 cent sales tax, that Tom, Kyle, several of you were with him presenting, and y'all went to various meetings that were held, and similar to what Tripp was saying. I mean, it was, AARP meetings, and just selling that 1 cent sales tax. And I think that is definitely a good recommendation by Tripp to try to get out to where they are instead of trying to get them to where we are. But those organizations don't always have children in the schools. I know that just from experience. I mean, a lot of those adults, their kids are gone, but they still have a vested interest. I mean,
Right.
they are going to pay
Big time.
the taxes, and they do want good schools in the community to draw in good people for businesses and things of that nature. So that's a great idea. I like community involvement. I think another thing that came to my mind while I was listening to everybody is how much good publicity do we put out there on Glenview? On Robert Anderson. There's a lot of good things happening over there. A lot of good things happening. And I just don't see a lot of it. All I hear is the negatives. My wife, she's a hairdresser, so she hears all of it. My kids ain't going there. My kid's not going there. And she'll ask them why. Well, they got too many fights. Or, let the facts be the facts and present the facts. And let's pump Robert Anderson up instead of talking about all the negative that's going on over there. It's with all of our schools. It's just, I think quit focusing on the negative. Let's get the positives out there, get the public involved. Positive feeds on positive, negative definitely feeds on negative, so.
Madam Chair,
Yeah.
when we had the meeting at Robert Anderson, Mr. Noble shared with us that he has implemented a program where he has different student of the month or the week and different teachers of the month. He's putting things out there, and he's got somebody that's making sure that they put it out on social media. So I think he's looking at
That's
doing
great.
just what you said.
That's
So that's
great.
something that they're working on.
And I will, not stepping on anybody's toes, but I do think one of the big problems in the community with Robert Anderson is we've not had any continuity of their principles. It's like a revolving door of principles. I don't know why, but I think this trip, if y'all are willing to staff it more and show a vest, I mean, all along, I've always hoped the sales tax being up to building, you mechanics willing to ask for any money. I don't want to ask anybody for money. I can't, I know and I'm like Paul, I hear it too. People don't want their kids going there, but they can't tell you why. It's Facebook, let's be honest. It's the Antichrist. But, I think we need to ramp up what I've always heard we need, and this is not my forte. We need more guidance counselors. We need more people here. Things like that. That is a cheap fix, relatively compared to a new school. And my whole thoughts were all along. I understand what people are saying, but I do look just like you do. Is we've got this whole building. It works. We just got to. There's nothing wrong with it. I mean, as I've told him, and no board member wants to ask for a tax increase. I mean, that's the last thing anybody wants to do is, as you point out, Mr. Duke, especially with what's going on now, we don't know where the economy's going. But I'm one of 9. I'm willing, whatever y'all think we need to do. If we need to do a consultation, I mean, I don't think a new mechanics. I mean, I think that's what obviously look at and see. It's got to be done sooner or later.
Can we charge Dr. Kelly and Mrs. Hurd with crunching the numbers and see what it'll take for us to pad the staff and do what Mr. Dukes had suggested, and also encompass what Ms. Burris was suggesting as far as doing the meetings, looking at, sharing this information with people a lot more than we have been. And like Tripp said, go to where they are. Like Paul said, let's go to where they are. Let's meet them. But I think we need to have some concrete numbers before we do that. And I think at this point we could give them the duty of getting those numbers for us, and then we'll have a better concept of a better perspective of what we need to do and what we need to share with the community.
I think before we have those meetings, we need to know
Have
how
a
we're gonna
plan.
pay for it, or how much is it
absolutely.
gonna cost?
That's what I'm.
You
yeah,
know,
that's what I'm
I
asking.
mean, boy, that would be my meeting. Okay, these things sound good, but how y'all gonna pay for it? And how am I gonna have to pay for it, you know?
That's gonna be the first question asked.
Yeah, it is, and we need to know that before we go into the meetings. Have a general idea of what we want to do, how much it would cost, and then not be so set in stone that we can't back up and punt if we need to, Let's hear what the public says about the ideas that we have brought together as a board. Nothing's set in stone. This isn't something we have to do, but we're bringing it to you to see what you think of what we came up with.
And good point. And I think back to the last time we had to do rezoning, which the board loves that, right? But when I was involved with rezoning with Ms. Bagley, our job was to bring the board options. Option A, option D, option C. If you didn't like all of those, want to change the street, go back and redo it, run the numbers. So to your point, Rick, let's not go out there with just, this is the way we think we want to do it. We'll propose this, but we could do it this way or we could do it that way. We could wait 3 years, build our account up an extra $36,000 if you get $12 million a month.
36 million.
36 million, what did I say, 1,000? 36 million.
I got it quite
Yeah,
right.
I'm not used to saying that. I don't have that in my pocket. And when we hit that goal, then we could start construction at McCants. Now, that doesn't involve, but one quick other point that hadn't come out yet. If you build another building over here, now McCants, you've got the staff there, everybody's there, you just need brick and mortar. Okay, but you put another school over here, now you got 2 administrations, 2 custodial staffs, you're gonna need another librarian, you're gonna need coaches, you're gonna need another team, all those teams and all that. So that's additional expenses that need to be factored in as well.
So it's okay to have it over there and not here?
It-
You've got,
You've got,
combine the football team, combine the teams in.
I think that's a straw man argument in that you've got two buildings over here. You just traded AIT, you tore Lakeside down and traded AIT. It's like, we got builder's remorse now for that decision because Lakeside's gone. If Lakeside was over there and McCants was over here and both of those buildings built within 2 years of each other, they're 60 years old, do them at the same time. That would be great. I would see that was perfectly fair. But you gotta bring almost a new, I call that a new building at Robert Anderson. It's beautiful. And again, it goes back to perception, which I don't know many boards that have built buildings based on perceptions, unless it's just absolutely failing on the inside, and then that's a different problem. So that's my last point.
Thank you all for all your ideas. Superintendent, I see you're writing some things down that they are asking you to do for them, because I am just,
Madam Chair, are
Yes.
we gonna discuss McCants?
I'd like to do that.
Is that next?
Next.
I thought maybe we was discussing the camp and the building.
This is West Side Cluster.
Well, and I will say this, I think we all keep going back to the sales tax, and it gives us a leg up if there's a way we can avoid. I think if you ask for a bond referendum, that's gonna kill your sales tax. Is my, I don't care how well we explain it, it's just, we just voted on that in 2026, now we want more money in 2028. However, I know two's done a bond, four's done a bond referendum, 3 is voting tomorrow. Theirs will
2 is
pass.
going to.
But they don't get the kind of money on this penny that we do.
No,
So-
but they don't have number of students either.
Right.
And the penny sales tax is countywide, so
Yeah.
we might approve it here.
Yeah, so
But if
it-
1,
it's-
2, 3, and 4 don't, then it doesn't
Yeah, it
pass.
doesn't
Yeah,
pass.
and I think everybody's trying to be fair, because I do know District 1's mentioning 2 new high schools.
Mhm.
I mean, that's, Wren and Palmetto
Yes.
has been mentioned. I mean,
Yes.
they're aging buildings, and,
But they're also talking about a bond referendum
Yeah.
raising their taxes.
yeah.
And so, Mr. Dukes, you had mentioned earlier, have we looked at what the bond referendum would do? We have. So if you had a $150 million bond, if you did both, we're currently sitting at 12, it would go to 38. Now, that is high, but it's no higher than anyone else.
Mhm.
So when you look at, currently everyone else, we're at 12, Anderson 4's at 52, Anderson 3's at 38 before the bond referendum, Anderson 2's at 21, and Anderson 1's at 46. We're at 12. So we would go to 38. If you renewed the 1 cent sales tax, it would go to 22. Yes.
That increase, let's say we went to 32, what would that increase? Say, a bond referendum's gonna increase your personal property tax. Cause you do pay that back. If you had an average house, what's an average house cost now, 350,000?
Average,
Four.
yeah.
That's ridiculous.
354.
Bond referendum,
On a $400,000 house, you currently, with 12 mills, pay about $250. Using that, going to 38 mills, you would pay $792.
What are the two figures one more time? On a $400,000 house,
$400,000 house, it's around $250.
In
death millage.
12 mills, and going to 38, it would be $792.
what got us to 38?
Sorry,
What gets us to 38?
$150 million and the sales tax not being renewed.
But if the sales tax is renewed, it costs us how much?
It goes to 22.
And what would that be, Amy? Instead of 750?
About half.
These are the kind of numbers, I need that on paper. I need to see
Yes, I
that.
can get better.
I need-
This is
I know
on
it's,
a phone
I know it's
calculator.
rough, yeah. But that's this kind of data that,
But if you could
We all need
email
to see.
us that.
Yeah,
That's
that's,
about $458.
Madam Chair, that goes back to my comment. I think that we ought to make sure that we go ahead and give Dr. Kelly and Mrs. Hurd the instructions to go ahead and crunch these numbers, come up with the options like you suggested, that we have several options before we go to our community meetings, as was suggested by Ms. Burris. Let's go ahead and give them the okay to start getting these numbers. And getting that, so we have data, and we have information, we can make an educated decision, but we can also give an educated, informative meeting to our community.
Right, absolutely.
I totally agree, Harold, with you. And, you know, you start throwing numbers out like this, to me, I'm voting for the 1 cent sales tax. I do not want my house payment, my taxes to go up to $792. I mean,
Yep.
and nobody would.
And
Nobody in their right
And
mind
they,
would.
and they won't,
Penny, you
and
don't even
I
have
think
to
I'm right,
pay.
Paul, they won't understand that ours are lower, they just gonna know what theirs is gonna go to.
That's exactly right.
And I
Now,
understand.
and I think,
I mean-
Hard when it happens and we aren't building any middle schools.
Yep.
So that can happen, and this board not decide to build one thing.
I agree.
So if the
Yeah.
sales tax doesn't pass, that four hundred
But
and
don't
fifty
forget,
is
that's
going to happen.
countywide.
Yeah, the 22.
That is countywide.
The 2 minutes, yeah.
Yes, and not building one thing.
Yeah.
See,
And
that's
see-
why you put the sales tax referendum sooner rather than later.
Yeah.
Okay, I mean, we wanna know now what money we're gonna have 3 years down the road.
Yeah.
I mean,
Plus,
And I-
it helps sell it into other districts that are considering bonds referendum. If we go ahead and get that idea, and start talking about that, say, look, rather than vote for the bond referendum, we talking about keeping your taxes low, you can get this helps us pass it, I think.
And I want to piggyback on that, Harold. You present what Anderson 1, 2, 3, and 4 are paying on their $400,000 house versus what Anderson 5's paying on their $400,000 house.
Right.
And that's ammunition as well to keep the 1 cent sales tax, because nobody, listen, I don't want to raise millage. Nobody
So-
on this board wants to raise millage. But we have a need at McCants. We have a situation at Robert Anderson that we need to address. We don't know what the solution is yet. We're gonna try to figure that out, what the best solution is. But facts like these, because that's what people want to hear. How's it gonna affect my wallet?
That's all it is.
Because my wallet's bleeding green.
If the sales tax did not renew, what would be the millage in those other districts you just mentioned then?
20%, all 5 districts currently have 20% of their collections going to offset, debt millage. So all of them are going up. So for us, that's about 9 to 10 mills.
That's a selling point for people to pass it, of course.
If you vote no, you get a tax increase.
That's right, yeah. I mean, you're shooting yourself in the foot, and it's already there.
Bond referendums right now, they're gonna have bond referendums, and then they're gonna lose that 20%, so it could.
That's what
potentially
yeah.
go on down.
unless we incorporated into our bond referendum 50% going back to pay existing debt
Pull out.
instead of the 20%.
I'd say
that we
50 would be
currently have.
worth having it.
Well, I agree, but then we couldn't bond out for probably $20 million, so then you're not gonna get if we have to give 50% of the money back to the debt, then you're not gonna be able to find out all that money, because all that goes into that calculation from the Department of Revenue.
That's just a
biggest-
number that popped into my head,
Yeah.
but somewhere between 20 and 50, there's a place we can
Find the
make
sweet
it
spot.
work.
The biggest challenge in my mind is educating the public.
Right.
That's gonna be the biggest challenge, because
Yeah.
I have to remind my friends every year when they get their
That
tax
they
Yeah.
bill
don't pay.
that they still don't pay any school tax.
Yeah.
I have to remind them. They're like, no, it's right here. I said,
You-
yeah, but you see the credit.
Y'all don't know how many
Copy
times
of
I
my
pull
tax
that
on
in
my-
my
on
office
my
and
phone
point
to
to
show
them, you're not
them.
paying this, and they don't believe it, they just,
They don't believe.
Yeah.
But
They
you're gonna
don't.
pay debt millage, but you're gonna pay debt millage on the primary residence.
Correct.
You do pay.
Oh, yeah,
Right, you just pay
absolutely.
some, but it's,
Did we get Amy to do a commercial and
I do a commercial for y'all every 3rd Tuesday.
We can't afford one that long.
that was not nice.
All right, it's almost 8 o'clock.
Dr. Kelly, along with the numbers that Amy might provide, could I get, or we get, the discipline data, expulsions, suspensions,
I
in
have
school and out of
Yeah,
schools,
I've already
for the
asked for
middle
that, yeah.
schools?
I have,
yeah, I've already
Okay,
asked for all that.
okay.
you want it now?
No, we'd
If you
like to
have it, that'd be fine,
I mean, I
yeah.
don't have hard copies.
Just email it to us,
Okay.
email it to us.
Yeah, email.
Because I'd asked for that earlier, I'd like to
Yep.
see, because that's the other hard thing, have, and you can vouch for this, Mr. Galloway. I'm told if you combine Glenview and McCants, you got the same discipline issues you do at Robert Ant, but people don't believe us.
It's close.
I mean, especially, yeah,
Their children, yeah.
they're middle schools, I mean, let's be honest.
Yeah, and if you split Robert Anderson, you split it right down the middle, we're not gonna segregate the good kids over here and the bad kids over there. You're gonna have a little of everything.
Wow, yeah.
You're gonna have a little of everything, so.
But then you
That
can
doesn't-
take West
that doesn't really
Side,
solve
you
the
can take
problem.
West Side and Hannah, I mean, I don't know what kind of, is it the same disciplinary issues you have at West Side and Hannah? Or is it different? Percentage of.
Percentage-wise.
Percentage-wise, yeah, yeah. But you're gonna show us the middle schools. If
I
you
can
have
show
the-
you high school, too.
Show
I
us the
have-
high school
Yeah, big
too, so
level.
we can compare.
Okay. Well, we thank you for coming and, doing, what we were doing tonight. And you do have, some homework that you're gonna
Yes,
have to
ma'am.
do for us.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
we hope that we can get that done. One more thing I'd like to say, and please excuse me for not saying something about this earlier. We lost Ty Davis, who
Right.
was our security man. I know he was at West Side, and he's usually outside. And, he grew up with my children, with there, my oldest boy.
Tyrone.
And, let's keep the Davis family in our prayers. They're.
Helen Davis's son.
Yes, Helen Davis's son. She worked for School District 5 for 33 years, I think she told me last night. But, let's keep them in our prayers. And, the memorial service is tomorrow at 1 o'clock at New Hope Baptist Church in Belton. And that's at 1 o'clock, memorial services.
Can I mention one other thing? And I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt with that. That's the most important thing. But, I would like to see us redraw the McCants using the existing land that we just purchased. You know, I think our drawings that we saw were actually building it in place, and taking 3 or 4 years to do it. Why would we do that? You know, why wouldn't we, now that we have the land, just move it back? Because we need so much more room between Marchbanks and the school.
Someone just relocated
Yeah,
it.
relocating it back.
We-
The drawings, I saw some years ago that were different because we said we wanted to do it over time, right? I don't think we need to do it over time now.
This one we got quickly, this is the old McCants, and this is building new while it's there. But you'll see this piece here, it takes up some of the bowl. So we would have to look at how we could utilize it and not take up the bowl.
Right.
But, so we do have one where you would just literally close that building and use this one, and not phase in as you would.
Does that orange include a gym in there, or would we use the
Yes.
existing gym?
Mm-mm.
Will we keep the existing gym?
No.
As an
Well, no.
auxiliary? No?
Well, not in the plans we have.
Okay.
But that has been questioned by other folks as well, about keeping that gym.
This is kind of dealing with Kent's, since we got the bowl back. If I'm correct, aren't we having a problem with playing fields for like the middle school team, like Glenview, McCants, ninth grade team at Hannah? Is it even feasible to use that for game sites and put lights there at the bowl for?
We had it tested to see if there were springs,
that even-
and there weren't springs there, so I think we could utilize it
I know,
if we
if
wanted
there's
to.
any way to alleviate some of the pressure they have on the field. I know they have a hard time juggling schedules.
Yeah, we can look at it.
I didn't know if it was, since we've got, I mean, to me, it's always been a neat place.
Now, it won't be
There's
turf,
Yeah, just
So
great.
there's
yeah.
no,
so if rain comes, it would be canceled, but yes.
there's no seating and no restrooms either.
They can go to Chick-fil-A across the street.
Okay.
No seatings and no.
Yeah, I mean,
restrooms.
just looking at, yeah, we'd have to have that. I'm just curious
Yeah.
if, I know I've heard them say they have a lot of scheduling issues and, with the fields,
All right, I will look at it.
for games, and
Okay, well, that's something else that we can look at.
I just like to see games there.
Okay.
And as I said, let's just remember
I
the
just like
Davis family.
natural feel.
There's nothing else?
No, ma'am.
Well, let's close.
I make a motion we adjourn, Madam Chair.
Second.
Okay, it's been made a motion and second that we will adjourn now. So we-
Aye.
Actually,
All in
we don't
favor?
need